we'll get into the books then, shall we? So, kicking off today with Absolute Superman issue 10, Jason Aaron writing with Carmine Di Giandomenico on the art. So yeah, next big chapter of this, we've got kind of Superman and actually encountering Ra's al Ghul, although probably one of the things that I liked a lot about this issue is how we don't actually see Superman for a good chunk of it. They really sort of build the mystique of like, oh, he's in the sky, like obviously destroying jets and stuff, but we don't see him. We just see like a red blur in the sky occasionally, and it's all from the perspective of like Raz talking to Brainiac and what's his name? Peacemaker.
Peacemaker.
Yeah. So
not Metallo, as I've been calling him in my brain, because he's very similar to Metallo, but he's not Metallo.
Well, in this universe, he's similar to Metallo.
Yeah.
Regular universe, not so much. Yeah.
No. But no, it definitely gave Superman a sense of wonder, right? Because we're seeing his deeds through the eyes of the people on the ground. So like, there's this awe-inspiring, which kind of for the first time in this book that we're getting, because we've very much been in Superman's point of view, right? When he goes to save the people and all that kind of thing. We're seeing it from him. So to see this from the ground, I thought that was a nice change.
Well, I think what's interesting about this issue, especially given that it's the first time we're feeling that sense of like awe and spectacle, but also force of nature and arguably dread, because it's, you know, it's kind of from the bad guy's perspective mostly. Not that Raz is scared. Raz is very much focused on what he's got planned. But I think that leads into what's interesting to me about this issue is that Raz's whole thing here is obviously he wants to claim Superman as his son in the same way that in you know the regular universe he wanted to claim Batman as his like successor kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's basically wanting Superman to like kill people. He's wanting Superman to prove that he's worthy of being an Al Ghul and do these various things. And a lot of this issue is predicated around that idea of him trying to provoke Superman to the point where when he can, you know, he's like, oh, Superman's taking down all these jets, but then he's like, well, like, are all the pilots dead? And like, no, they're all alive. And like, you know, he's leaving everyone alive. He's not killed anyone. He's like, we'll just have to provoke him further. And that's what leads to him sending out Peacemaker. And Peacemaker thinks he's going to get to kill Superman. He's like, oh, I'm going to take him down this time. But in reality, what Ra's al Ghul is actually doing is like try to just try to give Superman an enemy that he's going to snap and be willing to kill. So once Superman does show up and we get things more from his perspective, and he refers back to the little flashback we get at the start, which is this story about how Jor-El was like saving these miners in the cave, and these like Kryptonian bugs that are kind of dangerous were like attacking them, and you know, and it kind of ties into the whole Krypton's changing because of like it's about to die thing with them like coming up like near the surface. But it's this idea that ultimately Jor-El had to kill the bugs, and it was kind of this, you know, sad thing that, you know, they're not necessarily, you know, evil because they're taking on, you know, killing the humans or whatever. But you know, there's a little speech between Cal and his dad where he's like, yeah, like, you know, I like, yes, I did the right thing, and it's comforting to say that to myself, but I still had to do something bad to save those people, and that's kind of a thing. So by the end of the issue, and Superman's making this choice not to kill Peacemaker, it kind of feels like he's really making a stand where he's almost like saying, he's not blaming his dad for what he did. Like, you know, he respects, you know, his father and Jor-El for the lessons he taught him, but it's almost like he's saying, well, unlike my father, though, I have more choice. Because I'm not just one of the people who are scared in a cave with a lava gun. I'm, you know, I think he says, I am one of the bugs, basically.
I'm trying to find what they were called, because it was like a mole mite or something like that.
It's right in the first page, I think, because it's supposed to...
Yeah, is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah, it's right there at the start, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. But yeah, there's that whole sequence where it really hits into the, you know, the Sons of the Soil kind of vibe that we've gotten from Krypton. Where Cal's talking about, you know, we were the ones that were pushed out to the outskirts to, you know, thrive on the red dirt, you know, and he says, like, you know, the ruthless ruling powers in the cities and the sun crazy beasts in the field. So it was like, it gives us different image of Krypton than what we're used to also, right? Where it was this very savage place, you know, and like, yeah, the people that lived on the outskirts, we had to do what we had to survive. And then that just drives home his choice at the end, right? Where, like you said, he has more choices. It's not like kill the mole mite to, you know, save the day. It's like, no, I need to destroy something in order to preserve. And it was a really nice little twist on that.
Yeah, but Superman's making the choice that he doesn't have to destroy. Like he because of his abilities,
Right.
because of the level of power that he has, he can choose not to do that and still have the outcome. Like his dad didn't have a choice; he had to kill those bugs. It
Right.
was the only option to save the people around. But Superman has a choice, and he's going to
Right.
keep making the right one. So it's like kind of like a going through like a tougher challenge to sort of get to the same mantra that Superman usually has, but he's like having to like sort of fight through kind of like a darker story to get there. The other thing that stuck out to me in this issue is, there's a whole bit where Brainiac's like very subservient to Raz and is like, yes, my liege, I don't compare to you or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh god, because this is the Brainiac, of course, we saw the backstory to, who ultimately like took over the Brainiac ship and all that. And I was like, he is so going to betray Raz at some point. Either Raz gets defeated and this Brainiac like takes over the Empire for himself, or he's already plotting to ultimately overthrow Raz and be the ruler, because he already did it with the other Brainiacs. So it makes complete sense to me that he's acting all subservient just now, but like he's building to something.
What's it called? A palace assassination? I don't know if that's the right term, but it's from the inside, right? That's where the Empire gets taken down from, and that's what it feels. And just the way that he's always cowering because he has those, those like blade legs, they give him like goat legs. So he's constantly like his body language is like he's constantly cowering. But I feel at one point we're going to see him stand fully up, right? Yeah. When it is that time.
They almost look like the back legs of a horse or something like that. The way they arch back. Yeah, I can see that. And of course the other big thing in this issue is there's a betrayal to take down Superman. So obviously Lois is running around with Jimmy and telling Jimmy to keep his mouth shut and not talk about, like, try to like help him because someone will hear, kind of thing. And ultimately, the way Superman's taken down, because he makes his stand, he makes his speech. We get the flashback to he's talking to his dad and all that back in Krypton, and ultimately it's what would they calling her? But we had like the agent of the Primus, thank you. But she was like the second in command of the Omega Men, and she stabs Superman in the back, and it turns out that she is Talia al Ghul. Yep. Had
the feeling. We talked about it last time. There's something about her.
Yeah, we knew she was going to turn out to be someone, because they were being very coy with like what her name was. It was all very mysterious and so. It's interesting because it seems like, Superman's actually going to be held captive by the Al Ghuls now. Like Ra's al Ghul is very smart. I mean, he's always very smart, but it feels like he's very smart in this universe because he's actually managed to take down Superman, and presumably we'll be able to trap him at least for a bit. Maybe he'll break out by the end of the issue or something. But
so judging what we know about the Brainiac stuff and what they've done to Peacemaker, I'm wondering if they're going to try to do like a brainwashing type thing with him now that but because of who he is and what the Kents, the short time of the Kents taught him that, this earth is worth preserving. I wonder if that's going to be what keeps him from fully succumbing to whatever Lazarus does. But it's not only the stab in the back from Primus / Talia, but Peacemaker had the kryptonite gun, right? And because Superman won't kill Peacemaker, Ra's just goes to do it, and he fires the kryptonite gun, and Cal stops the bullet with his hand, right? So he has the kryptonite in his hand plus the blade in his back, and knowing what we know about the kryptonite here, how long it took him from the first bullet, I'm wondering just how susceptible he is now.
It's a good moment because obviously he's made this choice where he won't kill Peacemaker, and because they do a whole thing here where Peacemaker goes to fight him, and Superman takes him out in what he says is 4 seconds. Like, Peacemaker goes in all gung-ho thinking he's got a chance, and he ends up on the ground, like, beaten half to death, and Superman, makes his little speech, makes the choice not to kill him, but then Raz goes to shoot him with the kryptonite gun, but Superman chooses to take the hit, even though he knows it's a bullet that will hurt him. So it's doing a good job of really establishing that he is a hero, like, despite all the darkness and maybe the edgier kind of, like, world that we're in and the character versus what he normally is, he's still ultimately making these very heroic choices that's really making him endearing to the audience. So it is interesting though you know, because at the end of the issue, when Talia is with Raz, she says, "All hail the Omega."
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's interesting to me about that is that it kind of feels like the Omega Men. Like, I'm not sure if this is saying she was secretly the one who kind of established them and like is the one that's really in charge, and Jimmy just thought he was, or if it's a case of like, I don't know, because like obviously Omega means a lot here because it's Darkseid related, and this is all kind of like feeding back into that, and it makes sense that the biggest villains would be all for worshipping Darkseid in this universe,
right?
So it does call into question if the Omega Men were what like Jimmy and some of the others thought they were. Obviously, Lois cries out when Superman gets stabbed, so you know people care. He's got some allies, but it does feel like the you know the odds are stacked against him right now, which should be fun to see them work their way out of it. So very cool.
Yeah, and it just makes me wonder too if Ra's al Ghul manufactured the Omega Men to give Lazarus something to fight against. Right, it's that old trope.
It seems that way, yeah. As does the vibe.
Yeah, where where you create the enemy, right? So you can have this fight, but it's all like a misdirect, and he's been controlling both sides. And to see the disillusionment that comes from Jimmy here, too, when he sees all this go down. But yeah, it was a nice swerve. I like that. And again, like I had suspected that Talia or one of the Al Ghuls was Primus. Not that they were necessarily going to be in league with Ra's in this world. So that was a nice little twist of the hand. And then the idea that he keeps calling Superman his son and then says, Talia, your sister. It also makes me wonder if this Ra's al Ghul does things by like survival of the fittest, right? So that's not his actual birth daughter. It's just, someone that he is, put into place to be that type of person.
Sure.
So
yeah. Although I do, given that he's saying Talia is your sister, I imagine he's not planning on having him impregnate her for the ultimate grandson. I assume.
I mean, we don't know how much of a we don't know how much of a sicko he is.
Yeah.
Yet,
so we'll see. Maybe he wants a pure family line though. Maybe he wants the incest baby.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't actually be incest, obviously, but like from the perspective of him saying, you're a brother and sister.
It is in the spirit, though, of it. You know what I mean? It's still icky that way. So, but yeah, I love that Ra's is Superman's main antagonist here. And it keeps making me wonder what Lex Luthor in this world is like, right? If the person that we would, Ra's is hitting all those boxes for the most part. So what is Lex worse than him? Is it a sidestep? Is, he's somewhat more of a hero, like, in comparison? So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think Jason Aaron's doing a lot of fun writing.
As far as the art goes, obviously Carmine Di Giandomenico is a very talented artist. There's, I think, a lot of the big set piece moments are good. I will say, though, he does tend to have kind of like messier faces at times. And I did feel the difference because obviously it's usually Rafa Sandoval and maybe some others who are on this book. So it did feel different than what we had been getting for the last couple issues. So that did stick out to me, but it's certainly not bad by any means. The coloring's particularly good, actually. I especially like how colorful that last page is because you've got the green glow of the kryptonite, you've got the purple glow of like whatever is on Talia's arm. Is that a mother box maybe? I don't know. And then you've got all the red and yellow of like Superman freaking out in the foreground. Like there's a lot of bright popping colors on that page.
Yeah, because they're against the very cool like the blue of the Omega Men, right? That are all laying there too. So they really pop out. I really like the page where you're looking up at Superman from Peacemaker's point of view. And the cape just looks like this weird tendrily kind of thing, right? And it makes him almost seem like an angel, but like, something that's not quite right. Like he's not quite a demon or anything, right? But
yeah, it looks almost
it looks really cool.
Wings, yeah, the way it's kind of spreading out.
I think that's a really cool. But to double down on the faces,
and importantly though, just that moment, that's the first time you see him in the whole issue. Is that panel looking up at him?
Like an angel. And to dig down on the faces there on the next page where it's the flashback to Krypton and younger Cal's talking to Jor-El. The very middle panel of the reaction of Cal, I think it's Cal, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks a lot like Jeremy Allen White, I thought, from The Bear and Ironclaw. Like he has a very looking gaunt kind of face, which I was like, who's this supposed to be? So that was the main, I think, drawback on the faces here that I couldn't tell who that was supposed to be. But I think the rest of them are fine.
Wait, when he's a kid in the flashback?
Yeah, just that middle page, as I was reading, I was kind of like, okay, that looks a bit off. I couldn't tell if that's supposed to be Jor-El or Cal. So, you know.
I mean, I'm not getting Jeremy Allen White. I'll say that much.
Oh, I am. No, I am. There's a look on his face here. It might just be the stark blue eyes.
Yeah. I have to admit, I was never confused about who was who on that page. If only because one's tall, one's short. It was never a question as to which one was which, but fair enough. So there you go. That's Absolute Superman. What are you rating him, Matt?
I'm 8.5.
Is that an 8.5? Discord's been a bit unkind to you today. I like Domenico, but I think I like it. I like his work on this book less than Sandoval and whoever else. So I'm going to say just a straight 8 for me.